Hey gang, this episode of WTF is sponsored by Stamps.com. Go to Stamps.com and type in WTF when you click the radio microphone to start a free trial and get a $110 bonus offer. That's Stamps.com. Do it. It's good. I'm telling you.
Lock the gate!
Are we doing this? Really? Wait for it. Are we doing this? Wait for it.
Pow!
What the fuck?
WTF.
And it's also, what the fuck?
What's wrong with me? It's time for WTF.
What the fuck?
With Marc Maron.
Okay, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers? What the fuck buddies? What the fucking ears? What the fuck nicks? What the fuckstables? What the fuck-a-Mullins? What the fuck-Olympians? What the fuck-a-Ricans? What the fuck-a-Nucks? What the fucksters? What the fuck sticks? All right, that's it. That's as far as I'm going to go. Welcome to the show. I am Marc Maron. This is WTF. It's a pretty exciting week in my mind because I'm like, look, I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a propensity towards being a fucking fanboy sometimes. I'm not ashamed of it. It's just sometimes I can't always. It's very hard when I have to talk to actors who are playing roles that I dig because I can't really separate them from the role that I dig. And I expect on some level in my mind to talk to the guy that they're playing. I'm talking to Jon Hamm today, and there's only a couple of shows that I watch regularly that I can't not watch. And one of them is Mad Men, and one of them is Breaking Bad. So today, I'm talking to Jon Hamm. On Thursday, I'm talking to Bryan Cranston. Now, in my mind, I'm talking to Don Draper, and then I'm talking to Mr. White, Walter White. That's in my mind. It's very hard for me to separate them from their roles because I've built a relationship with those characters. Obviously, they don't know me, and in my mind, I know their characters, and in my mind, I know these guys are actors. But there's something, I don't know. I'm 47. Oh, shit, just turned 48. Fuck me. God damn it. 48. Last week. It's going to be all right. It'll be all right. It just keeps going. I'm excited to be alive. I don't feel old. I do feel a little fat, but again, we're not going to do that. I'm a man. It's time for me to fucking man up and to act like a goddamn man. All right? That's something that Don Draper does for the most part. Something Walter White does in his own fucked up way. I just can't. When am I just going to be comfortable? I'm not going to. Let me plug a couple of things first because I think I neglect to plug myself. I end up, doing some promos for other things. I am going to be at the Punchline in San Francisco November 2nd through 5th. Please come out. Love that club. Love that city. We had a great time there the last time. I'm going to be at the Neptune Theater in Seattle on November 25th. I know those dates are sparse, but I'm taking a few months off to get to work on the book, to continue working on the book. I'm sitting here looking at this mountain of writing. I've got notebooks. I've got these diaries that I kept when my wife left me. A week after my wife left me, I was just going out onto the deck, sitting there and writing this painful shit every day. I'm looking through that stuff. And I got to tell you, man, I'm annoying myself reading that, how fucked up I was in the head. But I think it's going to be good shit. So the dates are a little sparse. So those are those regional dates. Pacific Northwest, Punchline San Francisco, November 2nd through 5th, Neptune Theater, Seattle, November 25th. I'll be around town here in L.A. doing some stuff. I don't really plug that. Oh, and I forgot I have a CD out that I'm very proud of. This Has to Be Funny. That's still on sale. That's been on sale for about a month. It did pretty well. It's doing pretty well. But if you didn't get it, I think you'd like it. This Has to Be Funny, available on iTunes and at Amazon. Or you can go to my website and order it, and I'll send you a signed copy of it. Maybe a couple stickers. Huh? A couple stickers? Yeah. I'm going to be talking to Jon Hamm here in a second, and I got to get over this shit. All right, I'm over it. Let's move on. Why do I keep judging myself again? You know what? Let me read an email because I think there's something to be gleaned here. This just says the subject line, comments and suggestions. Hey, Marc, I've been listening for a while. Love the podcast. It is amazing that somehow your podcast, Marc, has become a character that I've heard change. When I first started listening, I listened because I loved comedy, and yours was a serious podcast about the art of comedy. The tone used to be so sharp and searching. Now it is mellowed and is more comfortable, so settled in itself, and I really enjoy listening to that voice. Thanks. I hope that was not too personal. That's from Clark. Look, I'm glad you hear that. I mean, some days are better than others, but I just got off the road, and I'm carrying about like 10 extra pounds of biscuits and gravy and ice cream and cupcakes and baked goods. And I don't know. I thought that there was a point as a man where I would just say, fuck it. I'm all right. Who gives a shit? Why do I have to work so hard or think about my goddamn body image? Am I a 15-year-old woman? And I know I've talked about this before, but Jesus Christ. I mean, now I'm trying to do that ridiculous 4-hour body diet. I can't read that book. Someone gave me the book. Are you fucking kidding me? It's filled with science and math and balancing things. And then in the end, it's just about, like a whole chapter or two about how to fuck for a long time. It's a crazy book. I just want to know what I can and can't eat and how am I going to lose this fucking weight so I feel more comfortable with myself. Here's the test I do. I don't know if you ever do this as a man. Is stand in front of your mirror in the bathroom and sort of jump up and down and just see, how much jiggle you get, like how much of your body or what your skin has become this weird, thin or not so thin layer of just like a fat suit. Like I just want to see, how the fat suit is hanging on me. And I thought I was cool with this, man. I was ready to change pant sizes. I was ready to grow the fuck up and man up to just being comfortable, enjoying my fucking food and living my life. No, that's not going to happen. It's apparently not going to happen. So I don't mean to disappoint you, Clark, but that whole comfortable, settled in self thing. Right now, I'm a self-settled in a slightly fat suit for me, and I know, I don't want to offend people that perhaps have genuine weight issues. I have genuine mind issues about weight. So now I'm on this website and I'm looking up foods I can eat, and it's basically you can't eat any sort of sugar or white flour or anything white you can't eat. It's basically just meat and vegetables. And then I get to this point yesterday where I go over to a party over at my buddy Jonah Ray's house, and I couldn't find anything to eat anywhere. I hadn't gone shopping, and I was like famished, and all I wanted to eat was fucking meat. And I get to this barbecue, and there's a few chicken breasts cooked, some sausages, and then he throws a steak on the grill for me, and I sat there like an animal eating chicken, sausage, and steak with my hands, and I'd never felt so good in my life. I'd never connected so deeply in that moment to just the taste of blood. Awesome. I guess that's all part of it. It's part of this, man thing. Fucking blood, baby. Animal shit. Fuck it. I didn't want to talk about this. I didn't want to talk about jumping and jiggling. That was not the theme for today, jumping and jiggling. I mean, I've got Jon Hamm, arguably one of the most handsome men in the fucking world, coming in here, and I'm thinking about jumping and jiggling. Unbelievable. So, whatever. I hear other dudes. There's plenty of dudes that talk about this shit. This is how you just got to find your dudes. You got to find your slightly, I don't know what you call it. Your dudes that are sort of have an inner 15, 16-year-old girl who, sit around and talk about that shit. It's not sports. It's not like, man, kick some guy's ass. It's like, yeah, damn it. I feel fat. You feel fat? Okay. I don't think I can sell that as a show. But, I'm just saying it happens. But there are other things that happen where I'm like, why can't I man up to this shit? I got home from the road. There's a stink in my house. And I knew the stink. I've had the stink before once, since I've lived here. There was a rotting carcass of something under the house. And I knew it had to be dealt with. Something had crawled under my house and died. I didn't know what it was. I assumed it was a possum. And quite honestly, the last time that happened, I was ready to go under there. Look, in my mind, I was ready to go under there. I was going to deal with that thing. I was going to get a bag, put on a mask, maybe a hazmat suit, try to, meditate on the fact that there's nothing scary about a animal corpse. But come on, let's be honest. There's something scary about any kind of corpse. Just rotting, dead flesh of organic, something that was once prancing around. It could come back to life. There's zombies all over the place now. fucking zombie land out there. I've not seen a possum zombie. Oh, man, I just pictured it. Awful. I mean, they're pretty fucking awful. I'm not going to, you know what, I've talked enough about possums. So here I was in this predicament, and I had the same thoughts I had last time. Well, how long could it take to rot? Yeah, I can wait that out. But no, if there's one rotting thing under a small house, the entire house becomes just this shrine of death smell, and you're basically living in the spirit of the dead animal. That's what I was. My house had become some sort of shrine to dead rodent. And I'm like, all right, this is it, dude. This is the test. This is what you're going to do. You're going to get under there. You're going to, you just put on some shitty pants, and you're going to fucking do it. Go under there with a bag, man up to this shit. It's just a dead animal. This is your fucking house. How long could it take? How long of your life could it take to just get this done? You'd be in and out in a half an hour, and you would feel great about yourself because you dealt with it. You dealt with the dead thing, and you threw it away. So I meditated on that for a while, and then I called my friend Dee Dee, who called her friend Jose, who came over to do this possum. This little guy doesn't speak English, suited up. Took him like 20 minutes, went under there. I felt guilty about it. It was some sort of white man's burden bullshit guilt. Like, I should be doing this. But then there's the other side of it. It's like, dude, it's easy for him. You give him $50. He wants $50. Why not? Just, you don't have to live through this in your life. But then I got to live with the guilt of not doing. So he goes under there. He pulls it out and he says it's a rat. So now I got to deal with that. It's not even a possum. It's a fucking rat. Rats are horrendous. I never see rats around here. Now the knowledge, see, I knew that rats were kind of everywhere, but I didn't know they were in my house or under my house. And these rats out here, I think they're these South American rats. They're like huge. He pulls this thing out. He goes, rat. And I'm like, no, possum. He goes, no, rat. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Rat? God damn it. So I gave him $60. That was worth $10 extra, a rat, because I certainly, if I was under the house and dealt with a dead rat, I mean, that would have been touch and go. I might have just freaked out, jumped up, smacked my head on the baseboards, and it might have been a tragedy under the house. It might have been two dead things under there. A rat. He goes, you want to look at it? He wanted to open the bag. I'm like, no, man, I don't want to look at it. I believe you. So now I got rats somewhere. They're out there. They're everywhere. We're surrounded. And my house has become a place where they come to die. God damn it. Fucking rats. All right, I'm over it. Let's talk to Jon Hamm. Got to get the rat out of my head. Decomposing rat out. Next time, though, you guys. Next time, when this happens next year or the year after or even 6 months, here's my goal. I'm going to be fat, and I'm not going to give a shit, and I'm going to go under my house and pull a dead rat out without even flinching. This is my journey as a man. All right? Mark my words. Fat and rats, I'm going to overcome both of them. Hey, you guys, most of you know that I send out a lot of stuff. I send out stuff to you guys. If you subscribe, if you buy a T-shirt, you buy a CD, I send it to you. I send it right here out of the garage. Most of it comes out of my garage, and I go down to the post office. I got a buddy down there. They all know me. That's how much time I spend at the post office. I got my pal Victor down there. So now I get an opportunity to share with you this new thing, this Stamps.com thing, which I never knew about because I think things are too complicated. I'd heard about Stamps.com where you can just do all your own post office stuff at home, but I always thought like, oh man, that's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. And what about Victor? I don't want Victor to be down there all alone at the post office, not seeing me not seeing him, my old pal at the post office. But let me tell you something. I got on to Stamps.com. They sent me a scale. I went to Stamps.com. I'm on the website. You can do anything, man. You can do anything you can do at a post office at Stamps.com. You can buy and print U.S. postage using your own computer and printer. It takes like 2 minutes to get on to Stamps.com and get started. You get postage for all of your letters and packages like instantly. You just print up your own stamps. Is there a thing where I can print up my own money? And then all you got to do is give the mail directly to the guy that comes to the house, who isn't Victor, who I don't know that well, quite frankly, so I don't have a lot invested in that relationship. But you never have to go to the post office again. You don't got to buy a postage meter. You know, look, I don't advertise anything on here that I can't get behind, and I was excited to print up stamps. That's the kind of person I am. I was excited to print up my own stamps, and then there's party that thinks are these real stamps? Yes, they're real stamps. If you go to Stamps.com right now, I have a special offer for you. If you enter my promo code WTF, you can start a no-risk trial with a $110 bonus offer, which includes the digital scale and a $55 free bank of postage. You got $55 to make your stamps. I don't know if I can use this scale for weighing food for when I go back on Weight Watchers, but that's another issue, and I don't want to clutter anything here. All I know is that this is a limited time only deal. Go to Stamps.com, and right when you're there, the first thing you do is click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in WTF, all right? And you get this deal. I'm printing stamps right after I tell you this, because I just like printing stamps. Then you stick them on things and you just hand them to the guy. I don't got to go down to the post office. That's Stamps.com, enter WTF. Oh, what about Victor? I guess I'm going to have to start, I don't know, I mean, yeah, maybe we can meet for coffee or something. That's going to be weird. But I just don't really need to go to the post office anymore. Stamps.com, enter WTF. I thought about putting central air, but it seems to be an issue. If the crawl space isn't right or something.
In your house?
Yeah. I don't know. Isn't there a way they can put it under? Do you know about this kind of stuff? Can you install my ceiling fan after the interview?
No.
You can't put in a ceiling fan?
No.
Do you have any...
you know what? Honestly?
Yeah.
I can.
You can?
I literally can. I've done it before many times.
Yeah.
That was my one of my first jobs when I came to L.A.
Was putting in electrician stuff?
Like...
Handyman?
Like switches and painting and ceiling fans and all that shit.
You were a handyman?
Essentially.
And so, you had a bunch of middle-aged women?
No, it was actually like a bunch of gay dudes.
Oh, so you had gay dudes that sat around going, oh, could you just...
I just need...
Can you make sure it's working?
Do you do, tile? And I was like, sure.
Would they just sit there watching you grout? In the Cat Ranch garage, Jon Hamm is here with a beard. Why do I feel like I just saw you a week ago and you did not have a beard?
You did see me a week ago, but I'm sure I had a version of this.
Yeah, you got the thick hair face.
Sure.
Now mine takes forever. So is that for something?
No, it's just lazy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't like to shave.
I don't either.
So,
drag.
It's, and I always cut my face up and it makes it feel weird.
No.
Do you ever get professional shaves?
I've done it once.
That's good though, right?
It's better than doing it yourself.
It's kind of nice. You lay down. You get the hot thing.
It seems like it should be luxurious, and then you realize that's what ladies do with their business all the time,
every fucking day,
and that's not luxurious at all.
No,
that's like a procedure.
I don't know when that happens.
God bless him. Mazel tov.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that seems like a brutal.
Yeah.
And then none of them describe it as anything but
a pain in the
horror
ass.
show.
Yeah, but there was a time that I remember in my life, I'm a little older than you, where that didn't happen. You just took what was there.
It was
it was fine.
Good to go.
Yeah, full hair. I'm not concerned with it.
I honestly think that's the lesson to be learned
from
all of that.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're kind of good.
Yeah.
Whatever you got is good.
Yeah, we'll get past it.
We'll adapt.
We will work with that. It's always I think I've had the conversation before. Sometimes if there's too much attention paid to the grooming, it's a little off-putting.
I agree.
It's a little more information than I needed.
Yeah, and it feels like there's an expectation, of some kind of performance or something that maybe I'm not prepared to put in.
Yeah. So you think that there's an expectation on their part, or you're waiting for it to do something different?
I don't know. It's like if you look at a car that's clearly been souped up.
Yeah.
You think, that's probably.
Hope I can drive that.
I don't know, man. This probably takes a lot of skill.
Yeah, looks a little out of my hands. So, all right. Now I have to overcome a bit of I'm actually a big fan of the show of Mad
the
Men,
podcast
of Mad Men. Yeah, of my podcast. No, and it's very.
Thank you.
And there's very few shows that resonate with me completely, but somehow or another, that one has burrowed its way into the culture in a big way, and into my mind, you as a character. So I have to overcome some of that as we converse.
Okay.
Because I know that you've been around comedy for a long time, but I've never met you before. But you were around before you did Mad Men. You used to hang out at Largo and stuff, right?
Largo, M-Bar. In fact, I saw you at M-Bar. I'm going to go with 2001, 2002, around that world.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to show. It was a cheap way of entertain. It was a cheap form of entertainment.
Yeah.
I had no money.
Right.
And I knew guys in that world, so I didn't have to stand in line. I could call and say, like, hey, can you put me on the list?
Right.
And so for $5 or whatever the cover was, you could go and
hang out,
and
watch
have fun.
People be funny.
And it was right at the beginning of the wave of the Patton Oswalts and
Death Ray,
of all those guys.
Yes.
And so it was super funny.
Yeah.
It happened to jibe with my particular sense of humor.
Yeah.
And it was people that were relatively around my age, so it was kind of like, all right, like it was something to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to a club and spending $100 and not getting laid and whatever. It was just like,
were you ever a club guy? I could never.
I could never do it. I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm wearing the wrong shirt, and like, just never right. I'm always 5 years too old.
Really?
Yeah, and have the wrong.
I never
look.
could. Yeah, I could never do it. So but I never met you during that time, so I never knew you as just like an actor dude who was hanging around comedy.
I mean, honestly, like half the people in that world just assumed I was like Schrader's friend. Like they didn't know I was an actor at all.
Oh, really?
And then I remember I was playing cards with Sarah Silverman at one point. She was like, "Oh my God, I saw you on TV. I didn't know you were an actor." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Yeah,
so I come to it though, like not knowing that, but knowing in retrospect, and then getting familiar with you through your work completely, and not knowing you as just this dude that was hanging around. So I've got to overcome this sort of idea that, like, holy fuck, I've watched every episode of this show. Like, I'm still not Hollywood enough to completely behave like a guy who's just sort of, we're just kind of hanging out. We're in the same business. This character had a profound effect on me and a profound effect on culture. And do you ever, I mean, as a guy who's playing that character, I know that it's got to come with a lot of baggage, but do you ever think about why it has such a profound impact as a masculine type?
Sure. I mean, I think about it a lot. I think about a lot of aspects of the show. Why did it hit the way it hit? I mean, it if you look at it in a vacuum, there's no way that show should have been successful.
Right.
It was on a network that no one had heard of for scripted television.
Right.
They went there to watch reruns of Die Hard and whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a very thinky show, which also not necessarily high up in our current cultural needs.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
But
it is pretty.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the one thing it had going for it, and it had a guy that created it that came off The Sopranos.
Right.
So it had enough to tease people into watching it.
Right.
But the fact that it has done what it's done, as you say, in the culture, is mystifying. But I think there is some kind of reason for it, but what it is, I really don't know. I have theories that maybe we've swung so far to one side with the kind of Apatow version of the sort of man child Adam Sandler characters that finally there needed to be this response, or the pendulum had to swing the other way for this kind of classically masculine dad figure who is grown up, even though he's got his own set of issues.
Well, I mean, it's a complicated male character. Sure. I mean, it's not like, even if it's not the Apatow model or the man-child model, which you see a lot in comedies, but even in dramas, those are fairly uncomplicated characters. And this Draper character is pretty deep and pretty, like, mysterious and weird in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it was, it's 100% of Matt's creation. I mean, he could have made this a story about advertising in the '60s and blah blah blah, and not had any of that.
Yeah.
But it's a credit to his storytelling, I think. And it's given the series legs, I think, as well, to layer in this mystery and how did this guy get here? And it's about America and what you can do in America in the post-war era of redefining yourself, and what you were doesn't matter, and that's a very American thing. And
also inventing modern advertising and inventing the American conception of what a modern man is.
Yeah, that's the kind of parallel story. Is while this guy is reinventing himself, he's also explaining to his job is to tell the public what they want, what will make them happy.
And when you have discussions with him, what his Weiner, right? That's his last name. Weiner, yeah. Do you? I mean, how? When he's directing you, or when he's helping you conceive of where this guy's coming from outside of the script, how much baggage does he put into your brain about what this is propelling?
Not a lot, and I think I think a big part of that is just I have no problem trusting him.
Yeah.
And I don't demand, hey, where's this going? Like I don't need it.
You're not that guy.
I'm not that guy, and I feel like the trust has been well founded. I mean, it's not like I'm flying blind here.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I get that you're going to land this plane,
right? And
I'm going to go along for the ride, and I'll do as good a job as I can, episode to episode. And we don't see the episodes ahead of time. We don't go into the writer's room and look at the board or anything,
right?
Because I'd rather not. I mean, it's an old sort of thing, but like playing the ending is no fun for anybody,
right?
And spoiling it is like, you don't really want to know where it's going.
And do you keep any of the suits?
Honestly, no. They're all. It's a super weird couple days at the beginning of every year, because we go to this place up in Burbank that's this enormous warehouse called
a prop house?
Western Costume.
Oh, okay.
And it's I'm not kidding. It's like a huge valley-sized block of clothes.
Yeah.
From everywhere, every era, every anything. And
Yeah.
they just pull out this like big giant 3 racks of 1960 whatever and go, all right, start trying them on. And it's like me trying on suits for 3 hours
a day.
And it's they pull,
and they're actually old suits.
Oh yeah.
And they've kept them in that good a shape.
They're in amazing shape.
That's unbelievable.
And I think it was Slattery or maybe it was Bobby Morse. One of them had like one of Burt Lancaster's old suits had a thing in the middle of it.
Oh, really?
It was
made for him?
Yeah.
Oh, that's trippy.
So yeah, that's the. So they all go back. Obviously, they're rented.
Yeah.
But they look great. They're hot as hell though. My God, they're like thick wool.
Yeah.
Old timey suits.
How do you not sweat?
I do.
Yeah. So you got to wear do you have the dress shields in there? Come on, be honest. Is Jon Hamm wearing dress shields?
I'm not wearing dress shields.
No.
I am wearing an undershirt.
Okay.
And we do have air conditioning.
Yeah. I do. Well, I just have I'm a sweaty guy, so I've had to deal with that embarrassment of I had to, when I hosted a show in a fairly compromised environment, they had to put dress shields in. I'm admitting that in front of America
that's the first step.
And Jon Hamm that I wore dress shields on Short Attention Span Theater in 1992. Now, how do you get from where you started? I mean, I don't know a lot about you. Then again, I might be projecting Don Draper onto you, that I want you to have that backstory. I want to know more about your mom, the hooker, but I'm not, but that's not real, Marc. Did I say that out loud? Is that too meta? What was your journey here like? I mean, what was how'd you start? Where'd you start?
I came from, I was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and
oh my God, does anything happen there?
Yeah, it's a good place to be from.
Have you seen the Arch? Did you go up in the Arch?
Sure.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. And the Cardinals, baseball.
Yeah.
It's a good place to be from, and it's a good place to be a kid. Like you get to be a kid for a pretty long time there, which is nice.
William Burroughs was from St. Louis.
I went to John Burroughs High School.
I wonder if it's his relation. Is that the
guy?
I
don't think so. John Burroughs was like a Walt Whitman style poet from like upstate New York.
No.
But it was a good place to be from. I have a lot of good friends that are still there, but it's very much a place where when you grow up, you either work for your dad or you leave town.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like you either kind of do the same thing everybody's been doing. There's not a lot of innovation happening in St. Louis, which is a drag. But it is what it is. It's a very conservative place, and for whatever reason, I had always kind of wanted to get out of that place. But I also had it sounds weird, but like the benefit of not having any kind of parents or anything. Both my parents passed away before I was 20.
Wow.
So I was sort of very much a vagabond by the time I got out of college.
You weren't so when you were, your father passed away when you were 20?
Yeah.
And your mom passed away when you were younger?
When I was 10, yeah.
Wow.
But so I lived in a lot of basements.
Of what? Of other people's homes?
Other people's homes, yeah. I was surfing couches for quite a bit.
In the 70s?
No, in the 90s.
In the 90s?
So it was thank God grunge was in, because there were not a lot of showers.
Oh
happening.
God, really?
But so I was like always kind of hustling and working jobs and waiting tables and bartending. I taught school for a little bit. And
what'd you teach?
I taught acting, actually. I went back to my old high school and talked to my old theater teacher, who had by that point who had been crazy overwhelmed with the students that wanted to take acting class and improv and fun kind of stuff that would make their college application look a lot broader.
Yeah.
And he was a really good teacher and a really kind of charismatic guy. And I came up to him and I said, "Hey, why don't I take half your course load off you, and I'm cheap. You'll pay me half of what a regular teacher would cost, and I'll be like an intern guy."
And did you think that was it for you, though? I mean, at that moment when you decided to go back to
it was a means to an end. I needed a job,
and you were just trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, and it was a job that didn't it was getting up at like 8 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock in the morning was a drag.
And what grade were they? 8th?
9th through 11th.
Oh boy.
So it was 8th through 11th. Sorry, and it was a trip. I mean, it was a real like kind of thing, but it was a thing to do every day, and I had responsibility, and when you're 23, 24, whatever, you need that kind of
shaping
thing.
Young minds.
Shaping young minds.
Have you heard from any of your past students that are like, dude?
One of my students is on The Office right now.
What are the odds of that?
And was in Bridesmaids.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Which one?
Ellie Kemper, the redhead girl.
She's funny.
She's very funny.
Yeah. Did you know when she was in 9th grade that she had...
She was very talented when she was young. She and her sister, actually, they're both... her sister writes on The Office. They're both incredibly talented kids. And they were back when they were 15, 14 years old. It was hilarious.
That's unbelievable. All right, so you're teaching, then do you hit a wall? You're like, got to get out?
They actually asked me to come back for a second year, and I was, at that point, going to turn 24, 25, whatever it was. And I was like, well, I'd love to, but if I don't go to L.A. now, I'll never go. I know, like, St. Louis will just... keep me here.
So what did you study in college, Joe, to have this dream in place?
I had a scholarship for theater.
Oh, okay.
But I was an English major.
Oh yeah, me too.
Which is useless.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's useful, but it's useless.
You read some good books, right?
Yeah, you read books.
And maybe a few cliff notes. Yeah, didn't finish that one. How's it end?
Which one's Beowulf? Why did I take this class again?
He's a monster, right? But he's a good monster.
Guy? Is he a good guy or a bad guy? Just give me just broad strokes.
Yeah.
But so I figured if I don't go now, I'll never go. I had a buddy, Paul Rudd, who was out here and kind of making it big.
How'd you know him?
He went to KU with my high school girlfriend's older brother, so they would kind of come back as like the cool older kids on
saying
weekends.
Like, you got to come out, man.
Yeah, come hang out. Like, it'll be really fun. And
he did all right for himself.
He's doing just fine.
Didn't he start with Neil LaBute and that crew?
Rudd started in Clueless.
Right.
That was his big breakout thing.
How old
Amy
was he
Heckerling.
then? Yeah. He's so young.
25.
Yeah.
But so I figured, like, all right, I know at least one person.
Right.
And I'll make one phone call, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And I've never been shy about asking. Part of the benefit of living on people's couches and in their basements is you don't get shy about asking for help.
Yeah.
And for the most part, people are... If you're a good guy and if you're a relatively responsible human being, they'll help you.
Yeah, if they're not walking around the house going like, why is this broken?
Why is he still here?
Yeah,
he eats everything.
Never flushed the
Stop
toilet.
shitting on the carpet.
We got to get rid of this Hamm guy.
Just murder him.
It's fucking horrendous. I think he's still sleeping now. It's noon.
Oh, that was definitely the case.
Yeah. Well.
But no, so it's and then I came out here, and it's like, all right, time to find a job.
Yeah.
And I was an extra on the pilot of The Practice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I actually was cleaning out my office 2 days ago, and I found my pay stub from, like, Sessions or Central Casting or whatever. From that thing. I made $200.
And what'd you do? Did you ham it up as an extra? Kind of.
I think I was honestly, I think I was asleep.
Oh, really?
Almost the entire time.
Yeah.
And I was extra in like it's a big law show, so I was like in the jury, not in the jury, but in the like
in the
observer
the
thing.
gallery or
so I'm like, I honestly think it was my choice to fall asleep. I was like, I'm making a choice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be asleep. Why? Somebody's got to be.
Yeah. I've been up all night too, but you didn't say that. No. Do you mind if I just snooze?
I will not snore.
What was the first real job?
first real job was
like doing talking part.
Was on a show called Providence.
Yeah, I remember that.
NBC.
Yeah,
and it was a guest star, one episode guest star, and
Yeah.
I was one day of shooting, but it was like an 18-hour day.
yeah,
Like a crazy long
Was
day.
it in that moment that you realized, like, fuck, this is a real
I was
job?
like, holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd never done anything where I had to like hit marks.
Yeah.
And there was this long, crazy steady cam tracking shot that they were doing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I kept missing my mark, and I was like sweating and just like, how am I not doing this right? And
Yeah,
I felt
yeah.
Melanie Maron directed it, who
Yeah.
remember from 30-something.
Right.
And she couldn't have been nicer and sweeter, and the camera crew was really nice. But I was terrified.
I just don't know, like, in my experience with going out on roles, because I'm not really an actor, I'm just myself, and just that waiting to go in, and just how many years of that did you do for television? I mean, sitting in a hallway with 10 guys that look kind of like you.
Kind of like you. Yeah,
It's
it took me
horrendous.
3 years.
Well, that's not bad.
But where I went on a lot of auditions, but got absolutely nothing.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Well, it's depressing. It's I was listening to Polar on this, and there's like, she was saying something about like, there's that thing where you go and you underprepare because you're like,
Right.
man, I don't
Just-
even care, like,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever, and
Yeah.
then you realize like that's not a great, that's really
Strategy.
that's a really terrible idea.
Right.
But there is like such a thing of like kind of wanting it too much, and where you're just, if you're so invested, because there's so many things.
Yeah.
To where you're like, are you really gonna like beat yourself up because you didn't get like cop number 2 on L.A. Med?
Right.
You know, you're like,
Yeah.
really? Like, all right, on to the next one. Like so you do develop a very thick skin in a sense of like, all right, there's something else is gonna.
You have to.
And part of that is being young. I
Right.
mean, I was 25, 26, 27 years old. You're like, I got plenty of time.
But in your mind, did you think were you gunning for stardom, or were you just wanting to work? Did you think see yourself as a serious actor? Or
Yeah, I mean, I did because that's what I'd done in college. I was like, all right, I've done this stuff. Like
Yeah.
I can deliver important sounding words in order. So yeah, and
that's Jon Hamm's description of acting. Serious acting, delivering important sounding words in order.
and improv is wearing hats and dancing.
Yes, I know that. And beards. Occasionally, you got to throw a beard on.
But so yeah, I mean, I was sort of gunning for being Tom Cruise? Absolutely not.
No.
The guy I always wanted to be most like was a guy like Jeff Bridges,
Oh, he's
who's just kind of always been awesome,
yeah, always.
and then like lives in Montecito.
Yeah, but you think about that guy's career and how long he's fucking been around. It's
Yeah.
baffling.
Yeah.
And I just saw his brother in some TV show last night. That must be a tough relationship. The Bridges boys.
I think they both have their.
They do all right.
They both have their slots to fill, as it were.
So, all right, so you do some TV work, and then, like, leading up to... Because, like, I can't imagine... I've never been given the gift of blowing up or even having heat. I've always sort of simmered along with periods of having a broken burner. But I can't imagine what it must feel like to have the type of attention you're having. But before we get to that, though, I mean, leading up to that, I mean, what was the auditioning process for Mad Men? I know you probably talked about this, but maybe we can figure out some other way to go.
Well, it was one of the things about it was I was kind of coming off like the worst year I had kind of professionally since I had worked.
Were you making a living?
I was making a lot of money because I was on a TV show for 3 years. So
Okay.
I bought a house and like
Which show?
it was called The Division.
Right.
It was on Lifetime
Okay.
television for women.
Right, so it was like off the radar in a lot
Yeah,
of ways.
but it was still a job.
Money, sure,
yeah,
right,
And
yeah.
I did almost 70 episodes of it.
Right,
So
oh,
it was
shit.
like I was on it for 3 years. It was a good gig.
So you had a reel anyways. I mean, people could see you work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I got to chase bad guys and
Yeah.
hit them with guns and do all that fun.
Yeah.
Could never shoot our guns because that would cost money, but you could hit them.
Oh, really? It's a budgetary concern?
Totally.
So you just had to
You have
know
to bring an effects guy in. You have to do a whole thing. I'm not kidding. That was
they had to
literally
add
our-
the gun afterwards, or you literally couldn't shoot?
No. There has to be like a
There has
whole
to-
other crew person involved whenever
So,
firearms.
what did you just cut?
We never shot people. We never shot our guns.
You're dead.
Bang.
Just believe me.
Trust me, I
Yeah.
got you.
That'd be a good show, actually.
But anyway, it was a great job, and it was really fun. But that had ended, and then I had auditioned for another pilot, which I got, and then got fired off of.
Yeah.
And then the season the following season was the season where I had gone up for literally 7 pilots and had not gotten any of them. So you go through this whole process of audition, test, no.
Yeah.
Audition, test, no. 7 times.
Test means you go in for the suits.
You go in for all the network guys, and they go like, meh.
Yeah.
And so Mad Men came around, and I got the script, and the little cover sheet was like, it's for AMC. It's this, like, it was the last one of the bunch. It was way late in pilot season. I had to go in on a pre-read because the casting directors were out of New York and they didn't know me and weren't familiar with me.
So you mean on tape?
No, well, yeah, but meet the casting directors basically and read it. So that was the first one, and I was like, oh man, like, what is this? Like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
And I like started reading it, and I was like, oh wow, this is really good.
Yeah.
And then I read the whole thing like in 10 minutes, and I was just like, I walked into my girlfriend, I was like, this is the best script I've ever read. And I threw it on the thing. And
what was it exactly? Like, at what page did you say, like, why is that guy so
it was somewhere in the first probably 5 pages of just like, and then when you realizing, I don't think I'm spoiling this for anybody at this point, but like when you realize at the end when he goes and you see the guy's married.
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
Yeah.
This is good.
So the big twist.
Yeah, and then I kind of did a little digging. I was like, all right, this guy's from The Sopranos. This is a real deal. I don't know what AMC's deal is. No one does.
Right.
But here's an opportunity.
Right.
And so I started literally on the very, very bottom. I couldn't have had to talk about heat. Couldn't have had less heat on me. Nobody knew who I was.
Right.
The casting directors didn't know who I was. I wasn't on anybody's list.
Right.
And they had lists. They wanted whoever, fill in the blank of like TV star, movie stars.
Do you know, like now, has it been?
The funny thing was, I think they went to Thomas Jane for it, and they were told that Thomas Jane does not do television. Mm-hmm. Now starring in Hung, by the way.
Yeah.
So it was.
You guys friends?
I don't think I've ever met him, but he's a wonderful actor.
Yeah.
And I love that show.
Yeah.
But it's so and then the process goes where I come back. I came back probably 7 times. By the time I got the part, I had performed every line of dialogue in
the script,
the pilot script.
You
at
knew
some
it.
point.
Now, so just as an actor, I don't know what your process is, but when you were, because I know that when you go into auditions, you're supposed to make choices. Now, in your mind, when you read that guy, at least the first couple of times, what were some of the things that you thought?
Well, honestly, like the thing that struck me the most was that this guy reminded me of my dad. And
what'd your dad do?
My dad was our family was in the trucking business, like heavy hauling semis and all that stuff. Yeah, in St. Louis. St. Louis used to be a big
trucking
sort of freight
hub
because it was right on 2 rivers and it was right in the middle of the country. So anything that came on barges from north or south came to the middle, and then they'd disperse it.
Right. Did he own trucks?
Yeah, we had a fleet of trucks.
So you spent a lot of childhood time in a semi?
I spent a lot of time in a garage, that's for sure, which was great for a kid, like forklifts and like giant wrenches.
Also, just seeing your dad bent over an engine, kind of like
he was not quite that hands-on.
Oh,
he
no.
he was the owner of the company.
Okay, all right.
We had mechanics for that.
Okay, all right.
But he was still he was a very like capable guy, like that classic. He was born in 1933, served in Korea, like. Classic kind of dad. Like, let me take a look at it, see if I can fix it. Cigarette hanging out of his mouth, bald.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, it very much reminded me of this guy who, and my dad had a lot of sadness in him too. And his first wife passed away suddenly. My mother, his second wife, passed away at a very young age. They were divorced at that point, but still, that's a bummer.
Do you remember that pretty well?
Your
mom passing away?
Yeah, vividly. Yeah, no fun.
Was it she had cancer?
She had cancer, and yeah, it was no good.
Was she married to someone else at the time?
No. She was single. I was living with her. She got custody, and I'd go every other weekend to my dad's.
Yeah.
And she had just massive, rapid abdominal cancer that back in the day, this is 1980. there was really in St. Louis. Obviously, it's not like we're living in the Mayo Clinic or anything, or Manhattan, where there's up to date blah blah blah. But there was just no treatment. It was kind of like, well, cut it out. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
And they took out a bunch of her colon, and they didn't get it all, and it was in her liver and their stomach, and that's a wrap.
And you were there the whole time.
Yeah, it was not fun. It was not a good time. And you're 10, so you have no.
The fear of that, like, what happens now?
Well, but you have no mechanism to deal with it either. There's just nothing there. You have no. So you have family, and you have friends. But your friends are 10. Like, what are they going to be? Hey, man.
I've been through this.
Yeah, you're not going to, like, get
have a drink.
We're not going to get a beer and, like, commiserate. Yeah. It's going to be like, you want to play kickball?
Yeah.
All right.
That's the best we can do.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
And so, but it, it is, it's the lamest expression in the world, but it is what it is, and you can't, do anything but get through it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of literally what I thought of when I thought of this character, was this guy who is living what seems to be a wonderful life, and yet is somehow deeply dissatisfied, and how much we as kind of America, and then I go into my little theorizing thing of like how much that represents America at that time, and what was shifting after we just won this, kicked ass in this world war, and we were riding high and everything was going great, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, is it? Is it great?
Right.
Kids seem to be bummed out. Why are the kids freaking out? And why is everybody taking, acid and smoking pot? And like, why is that Bob Dylan character so, bummed, dissatisfied? And he seems to be, and it's like, isn't it great? It's great. We all got cars, and there's malls and air conditioning and refrigerators, and it's better than it's ever been. And everyone's kind of like, really? I'm bummed out.
Right. The truth started to percolate underneath the character. So that's the sort of the metaphor. Is that, because your character has this darkness and sort of hangs out in beatnik places and does that business.
Or just looking for something.
Right.
What are you looking for?
How
Whether it's banging some random lady that's not his wife, or he's looking for something. Right. And always has been his whole life.
Did you identify with that in any way, or did you just sort of transpose that onto
Sure, a little bit. I mean, I think that's, I don't think that's necessarily uniquely male. Right. But I do think it's
human, meaning,
certainly, but also like there's something American about that. We are kind of raised as Americans,
arrogantly insecure.
Arrogantly insecure. Sort of like, I deserve something. Yeah. What is it?
I live here.
I don't know.
I'm entitled.
The bet. I mean, and it's honestly like it's getting to the point now where it's crazy, the arrogance entitlement of people who it's like, kind of like, what do you do? Why are you famous? Why are we giving you anything?
Sure.
Yeah. When the dude,
there's no shortage of that in this town.
Well, because and the honest reason is because somebody's watching somewhere.
Right, but I think also it's in not unlike the show that we have a very, capitalism in this country has a great history of hucksterism. Sure. And I think that advertising is sort of, elevated, romanticized hucksterism.
Well, and it all gets back to the freak show. I mean, just look at the freak show. Want to go see the freaks? Yeah. Sure. All right. Carnival's in town. Let's go look at it.
But it's the most powerful.
Only costs a nickel.
Yeah.
I mean, how different is Jersey Shore from a freak show? I mean, just stick them in a cage and watch them all beat each other up, and isn't that hilarious?
Well, most of it is freaks now. All of it.
Whatever it is. Kardashians, hoarders.
Intervention on some level.
Anything.
We should have some human engagement with that stuff. I mean, like the hoard, especially that whole type of show with hoarders and the obsessive shows and those kind of shows. Like, it's just a way for people to judge themselves against something.
Sure, I feel better. I feel better about me because I'm not that.
And I think that's horrendous. The Jersey Shore people seem to be proud to be freaks, but I was actually a fan of freaks as a kid. Did you ever go to a real freak show?
No, but I did see that movie Freaks. I was 30s weird movie.
So I was so obsessed with that shit, and I went to the New Mexico State Fair to see real freaks, and I went to see the guy with the elephant feet. And I walk into this room, and there's this little dude sitting in like a Tarzan outfit, but he's got these horrendously deformed feet with toes sticking out in a weird place. And you just go in there, and he's like, "You want to touch it?" And I'm like, "No, I want to go.
I just want to go home. I want to take a shower." Well, there became this thing too. At like, what was it in like 90? 93 or 94, 92 maybe, where it was like right around when Lollapalooza was a big deal.
Yeah.
And there became this kind of nouveau freak show.
Yeah,
thing.
this sort of
Remember
burlesque slash Mexican wrestling slash freak show.
And that became kind of cool again.
Yeah, Jim Rhodes Circus.
Jim Rose Circus Sideshow.
Yeah.
And there was a dude who'd bang a nail through his dick or whatever it was, and you'd be like, "Wow, what are we watching?"
Yeah, aren't you supposed to do that at home?
This is fun, right?
Yeah. No, there's some weirdness, but I mean, like with Mad Men though, like I guess I'm sort of fascinated with how you align the emotions with So you just had a good script, and you were able to sort of internalize what you thought this character was. And you like in terms of physical choices or anything else, you don't have any recollection of how you played that.
Yeah, I do, in fact, and they were very conscious on my decision, especially once I had known early on that Don Draper was not who he says he was. I knew he was a different person.
They told you that once you got the job.
Yeah,
right.
So I knew the backstory
before you got the part.
When I got the part.
Oh, right. Okay.
And
did you have to sign some oath of
No.
Okay.
I had dinner with Matt, and he was like, "You want to know the backstory?" I was kind of like, "Yeah,
it would help. I'm playing the guy.
Let me know." If it's, I basically said, if it's something I need to know, then yeah. And he goes, "You probably should."
Yeah.
And so he launches on this whole thing. I'm like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay,
yeah,
good to know."
Yeah.
And but I do make very conscious decisions, especially when Don Draper is being Don Draper in the office. He has a very sort of almost arrogant carriage about him. You talk about physicality,
right?
He's very I'm 6'2",
right?
And I'm relatively broad, and I think his carriage is a very kind of confident. Whenever you meet anybody that's a real salesman, you're kind of thrown by how forward they are, because that's their entire thing is just like
they penetrate every cell of your body.
Whatever you're like you're overwhelmed,
right?
And I very much took that to kind of in my physicality of being Don Draper as this guy who's on it,
right?
He is in charge,
and
that's like standing up straight and being sort of kind of shoulders back and like let's go and leader of men kind of
right.
thing. And it's very different when it's either in California or he's Dick. He's who he really is.
Right.
Is this kind of shy, different guy.
Yeah, because he can be himself.
He can be himself. He can relax.
And with Betty, there's this other thing that there's
with Betty. There's like he's kind of playing a role there too. Like, but it's closer to Don. Obviously,
right.
It's this kind of like masculine ideal that he knows she wants.
Yeah. And then the two start to break apart when you realize you don't have control over her.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it all comes. The chickens come home to roost. Obviously, when she finds all of the information.
That's that's a gnarly scene.
Yeah, it was really hard to shoot too, and it was one of those things where it was a scene that kept getting moved because we.
Just couldn't deal with it.
No, it wasn't that. It was like we ran out of time, or we were going overtime, and we couldn't. Our show is produced on a shoestring, basically, so we could never really do overtime. So we hit 12 hours, and be like, sorry, we got to pull a plug. And you're like, fuck. Like I've been preparing the scene, like really want to get it done, and it's like I'm thinking about it. And finally, like it was stuck in the middle of a day, like where we had a bunch of stuff to do, and I was just it was a weird thing to be like, oh, we're doing that now?
The most pivotal scene of the series.
Okay. Can I get a minute?
Yeah.
It was like, oh man.
Let me put together my breakdown.
But it was, it was great. I mean, and part of it was, having worked January for so long, and a lot of the people on the crew as well. Like, there's it's a very comfortable set. People are very comfortable with each other, so that really helps.
And I guess I have to assume that you must have some set design fetishists on there that just respect the period so fucking deeply. I don't know where they come up with all that stuff. I mean,
a lot of it's built, but a lot of it's just
recreated.
They make it.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is, that's what these guys do for a living.
Yeah, but
that's
sometimes
all they do.
It's sometimes like it's not done well.
Some people are bad at their jobs.
I've never seen it done that well. I mean, I think that's sort of some of the power of it is that you actually enter that world.
It helps. It certainly helps.
Yeah.
I mean, because especially the old Sterling Cooper set, which was basically an entire stage.
Yeah.
That was just one floor of this building.
Yeah.
and it was just awesome.
Yeah.
Like we'd walk on that thing.
Where was that? Silver Cup? No.
You
did it here?
We shot the pilot in Silver Cup, but we shoot the show here downtown. But people would walk on that set and like kind of lose their mind. They'd be like, "Oh my God,
we're in it.
This is amazing."
Yeah.
And because there's not like fake. I have the same thing. Like when I walked on the 30 Rock set, I was like, "This looks exactly like 30 Rock." Like it looks.
Yeah.
They have the little NBC logos on the carpet, and the elevators are the same. And it's you're like, "Oh my God, talk about somebody that's good at their job."
Yeah.
And but theirs is way more broken up than ours. Ours was literally one whole floor.
Right.
So you really feel like you're walking into an office.
So is the next series all done? Are you psyched? Or?
I'm very psyched. I'm going to direct the first episode.
Really?
And yeah.
Have you ever directed?
No.
Theater or anything?
Theater, yeah, like in college.
Right.
And I remember it being the most terrifying experience because it was completely out of my hands. Mm-hmm. And going when I had to put up my directing scene or whatever for class. Yeah. Thinking like, I'm going to shit my pants. Yeah. This is like, I'm terrified. Like I please do a good job, guys. Yeah. And then the rest of it is, and then it went great, and I was like, oh God, like it's crazy.
Entering I know that when you direct theater, if you're directing a movie script, that there's a lot of choices to be made that you might not have to make in a set piece. No, right?
TV shows are it's directing for dummies, and I'm not taking away from a lot. There are a lot of fantastic television directors, but you don't have to do what you do when you direct a play or a film. Right. You don't have to establish the world. You don't have to make every decision. A lot of that stuff is made for you. And
so you looking at it that way as a way to get your feet wet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's going to be a lesson in managing people and communicating and trying to get what you want, and also doing it economically. I mean, we shoot a lot of pages in a very short amount of time.
And your girlfriend's a director, right? Or in production?
She's a writer and actress, and just directed her first film. So I kind of watched that. I watched her do that. She was in the film that she directed too. So it was like back and forth. I did a movie with Ben Affleck, The Town, that he
I saw that.
He also directed and was in. So I'm like watching these people do that, and I'm like, all right, it's possible. It's not impossible.
On a film set, it's just fucking mind blowing, though.
Especially with guns and blow 'em ups and all that other stuff. But
now, when you do, I think that must be a big. Like, how do you approach the expectations of Jon Hamm, the product now? Like, I mean, I have to assume that on some level you're being offered a lot of stuff. People see you a certain way. I mean, I've seen you do comedy, and it's interesting that. Like sometimes in comedy, are you expected just to play against type? Is that what you prefer?
I don't know. It's
you just show up.
It's a hard question to answer because I don't think there really is an answer. I mean, I like to work with people who I like. So when I get offered things, it's kind of like, all right, do I like that guy's work? Have I seen anything he's done?
But do you get the feeling that, like, because of who you are as Draper and and the impact that had on the culture, that everyone's going to see you that way, so you get it sort of built in funny thing if you just act different?
Maybe that's it. I mean, honestly, like I got super lucky in that. For whatever reason, Lorne Michaels decided he wanted me to host SNL.
Yeah, and you were funny, and
I was like, oh yes, yeah. But the first time I was offered it, I turned it down because Jen and I had a vacation planned, and they wanted me to do it right in the middle of the vacation. I was like, I'm sorry, we're going to Greece. Like we've never been.
Yeah,
and I was kind of like, well. That ship sailed.
Well, but that is a sign of, on some level, that you feel fairly confident in your success. I mean,
honestly, no. I was kind of like, I would love to have done it. I wish I could say yes.
Not at another point in your career, you wouldn't have said like, Jen, we can't go to Greece.
Maybe. I mean,
come on.
You got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
That would have been a real tough ask. But they came back and said we'd love to have you this week instead, and I said, oh my God, yeah, definitely.
As a fan of comedy, are you nervous about doing comedy? Are you
very much so, because I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm funny.
Yeah.
In the way that professional funny people are funny, and that they think about structure and like here's how you build it and blah blah blah. I don't have that, and I don't have that thing that like Hader can do, or Daryl Hammond or Forte, like these people that can pull these characters out of their mind.
Oh, just turn on this
and make them
juice.
fully realized
Oh, yeah.
in 4 seconds.
Hater's fucking baffling.
He's a genius. I mean, the guy. I've never seen anybody.
It's unbelievable. I had him on a live show, dude, and he was sitting right there, and I asked him, and I didn't want to, but too many people asked me to have him do his Alan Alda. But anything he does, like, this is giving me this whole weird appreciation of people in our business, is that when I talk to them, or I'm sitting right next to them, it's really the best seat in the fucking house. And when they turn on the juice for an audience, and you're just sitting like this close, you're like, holy fuck, he's like a wizard.
It really is.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Polar's the same way, honestly. Yep. Like, she did stuff on that shit. She's an all-star.
These are people that spend their lives in front of audiences,
all-stars.
I mean,
and just like, so I'm happy to be in the room.
But you did the bridesmaid thing, and you made some very definitive choices, and you trusted the script, and you were that guy.
Yeah. No, it was, and again, it's like, listen, the fact that I get asked to do that kind of stuff.
And I'm telling you, as a man, great. Ass nudity for a joke is, it's a big choice. And, and I think that, did you have to struggle with that at all?
I don't know. If you're asking, it's always that thing where, like, the girl's laying there half naked anyway, so you're kind of like, well, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I got to meet you halfway.
Right.
It's only fair.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
But, and again, like, Wig is another one, like another person who you're like, I don't understand what you do. So that's been my kind of thing. I don't find myself particularly funny in that way, but I'm happy to be, most comedy needs a straight man too. So I'm happy to be that guy.
Yeah. When you talk to your representation or whatever, because I mean, I'm not trying to pry or anything else, but I mean, I have to assume I saw you in The Town, and I saw you in the Bug movie with the raining bugs, the metal bugs.
Yeah. Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, I mean, when you chose those roles, I mean, they were, what would you call them, second lead or supporting?
Supporting, sure.
Right. Now, I have to assume that you've had some lead, you probably have something coming out or something's going to happen. Or...
I've had a lot of lead things thrown at me, but most of it's been stuff that I haven't really liked.
Why?
So, why didn't I like it? Several reasons.
What's the biggest reason that recurs?
Mostly it's like, I don't want to be the guy that is carrying a movie.
Really?
Yet.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, yeah, but not yet.
What's your sense around that? I mean, why?
Because I feel like you get one shot at that.
The first shot, you mean?
Yeah.
To determine whether or not you get to do that.
And it's the world we live in now. It's kind of the landscape that exists where if something hits, great. Then you're that guy you get 5 more swings.
Right.
But if it doesn't, you get a stink that is hard to wash off.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that you have to be that aware that in light of the fact that, because you look at that can be kind of a curse.
Well, I think, I mean, maybe I overthink it, but I just feel like I've been very judicious in the things that I've chosen to do, and if it's something that's a popcorn movie, whether it's Day the Earth Stood Still or something where it's kind of like, yeah, I'll do it, it's fun, it'll be a great experience, I get to work with Keanu Reeves and Jennifer Connelly and on a big, crazy studio movie.
So but also you didn't feel like it was on your back.
It ain't on me.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that dies at the
right.
end. I'm not the saving the world. So it's kind of like, when it's that time to play that guy, I would rather share the burden with Matt Damon or fill in the blank of because honestly, like the new paradigm seems to be unless you're Will Smith or Twilight or whatever or a superhero, no one makes adult movies anymore. They make movies for 14-year-olds.
That's right.
And 14-year-olds are attracted to the shredded 28-year-old hunky guy.
Yeah, but you've got plenty of I would think maybe 25 to 75-year-old women. So I mean that's still a pretty big.
They don't go to movies.
You can get them to a movie, John. So like, what do they usually throw your way? Do they cast you as a romantic comedy lead, or do they want you as a action guy? Or
I get. Fortunately, I get all kinds, and I just really I haven't found anything that I've liked.
But you feel that if you found that the alignment was right,
I have no sort of attitude of superiority toward any genre. I think romantic comedy done right is great.
It's great.
and it's funny because it's human. It's like people, but done wrong, it's awful.
Yeah,
and we seem to be trending toward these kind of super saccharine, weird, badly made romantic comedies, and it's kind of ruined the genre for a lot of people because they kind of go like, "What is this thing?" And if you look at something like Knocked Up or Bridesmaids, those are basically romantic comedies.
Sure.
And they're just done great.
Yeah.
And they're really funny.
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of a lost art at this point. But I think that, you know, the action genre too, like that's what I really dug about The Town. The Town at a certain point was going to be directed by Adrian Lyne, and it was a $140 million movie, and Brad Pitt was going to be in it, and all this, you know, it's this Hollywood thing of like, everybody wants to do it, and they want you for this. And I was like, wow, if these people are going to do it, that sounds great. And then I read the script, I was like, wow, this is a really weird movie.
Yeah.
And then it went away, like those things do. And then all of a sudden it came back. And Warner's was really excited about making it. And I was like, okay, what happened? They're like, well, Ben Affleck's going to direct it. He's going to be in it. I was like, okay, I saw Gone Baby Gone. I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought he was very, very capable director, not just some schmuck like wanted to make a movie.
Right.
And he completely rewrote the script and basically tore it in half. Like it became this bare bones kind of lo-fi cops and robbers movie. I was like, I love it.
Yeah,
I'm on board.
I liked all of that movie up to the point where it's one of those movies where I thought, like, couldn't he have just been dead at the end?
It would have been a different movie, and I'm not saying I don't agree with you, but you know, he's Ben Affleck. Come on.
Yeah. You got to have him with a beard at the end he's got to win.
He's got to win.
Yeah. But now, are you adverse to doing a lead in a smaller film? I mean, have those kind of opportunities?
Those have certainly come too, but those things become difficult because if they're not attached to a studio, then attaching yourself becomes like a longer commitment. And with the TV show, it's like I don't know if I'm available when are we going to shoot it, and so it becomes a trickier negotiation. That's all it is. But there's a lot of amazing. I did a little movie called Howl that was about Allen Ginsberg.
Yeah, love Allen Ginsberg.
And it was a cool, weird. Should never have been made.
You played the lawyer.
I played the lawyer, and Franco played Ginsberg and was really great. And I was like, how did this? It was a movie about a poem.
Yeah.
Like, how does this movie get made? Right. But a couple of guys in San Francisco, and they found some money, and they made it, and it was really cool, and it's total, like, art film.
Yeah, there's right there. There's a poster for the anniversary of Hal. Yeah. Well, it's also, they were able to build it around the cultural relevance of that. I mean, moment. There's a million ways to skin a cat. Sure.
No offense to your cats. But and so there's a million stories to be told too, and like, why not?
So you're just waiting for a good time.
Yeah.
You're waiting for the thing that goes, this is fucking it.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so now let's get around to the final area of questioning. How the hell do you manage, first of all, whatever type of attention is coming at you from the opposite sex, and I imagine the same sex, and how do you maintain a relationship?
Well,
I mean, I can't even imagine because I was talking to my buddy today about it. It's like, you know, you've made this impact when, you know, all the women want to have sex with you and all the guys want to be you. But I think honestly you've done something new in that all the women want to have sex with you and all the guys want to be you, but they'd have sex with you too if you if you gave them 10 minutes.
First of all, thank you.
Yes.
I think all of that stuff is as ephemeral as anything ever is. The idea of being a, you know, it sounds even stupid to say it out loud, but a sex symbol is such a movable feast, and it's only given as much power as you give it. So if you're the guy that's kind of like walking around like, yep, this is where it's at.
Bring it.
I got it in spades. Then you're that guy, and no one wants to be that guy, except the people that do, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm as I said, like I was never a club guy because I was always in the wrong. I've always been in the wrong shirt.
Right.
You know, are we wearing glasses today? Shit, I'm not wearing my glasses. Like I thought glasses are cool now. Oh man, like I have really good friends.
Yeah.
That I've known a long time.
Yeah.
You know, I've been with my girlfriend now going on 15 years. It's just a thing. I don't know. It's just a way of being in the world. I like my life. I like going to
and
I like going to UCB. I like going, to New York. I like staying at home. You know, I mean, it's like I've been the same person that I've always been. It's just now there's a brighter light shown on me.
Sure. And so your ego's not a monster.
No,
that's good.
No, and I don't think it ever will be. I mean, again, part of being raised in the Midwest is having this incredible sense of not only politeness but also kind of, I know my place, you know, and I had to get over that in a big way coming out to L.A. because a big part of doing anything in L.A. is having a little bit of a sense of like self-promotion and like, yeah, why not me? Give me that job. Like, I deserve it.
Yeah, arrogant insecurity. The American thing.
The American ideal.
Yeah.
But my thing was always like, oh, there's probably somebody better that's at it. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm fine. And they're like, no, we want you. I'm like, well, don't overthink it. There's probably a better guy out there.
Call me after you called everybody else. Yeah.
So you have to get over that a little bit. But part of it is also just like, come on, like, what are you gonna do? I'm 40, man. I'm not, you know. It's it's all downhill from here.
And you're not a boozer, or you've got all that shit.
It's I'm you know.
But you're not out of control.
I'm not that guy. No.
Yeah. Well, that's fucking great. Well, I'm congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks for coming by.
It's my pleasure.
Well, that's it. The lovely Jon Hamm in the garage, not Don Draper. I'm glad I was able to get past that, to have a nice conversation with John. That is our show. Thursday show, Bryan Cranston. Now I'm going to have to spend a couple days knowing that it's not Walter White, but I'll work that out. Please, buy my CD if you'd like. I'm proud of it. It's called This Has to Be Funny. That's at iTunes. What else is going on? Go to WTFpod.com. Get on that mailing list. I'm going to send out an email every week. Please, if you'd like to donate to the show, I'd love to have you donate to the show. We do have advertisers. We are doing okay with that, but we are pretty self-supporting here. It's a small camp at WTF Pod. The premium package is always available, $250 one-time donation will get you a few T-shirts, 3 CDs, the special Best of WTF Volume 1 CD, some stickers, My Love. Isn't that worth something? JustCoffee.coop. Whoa. Pow! Look out! Yeah, just shit my pants. That one took a while. I think I'm getting used to the coffee. But that's available also at WTFpod.com. We're putting a few videos up there. There's some blogging going on. Always interesting to see who shows up to leave comments. It's a certain type of person. You know who you are, and you know what side you're on. Thanks. That's it. I'm going to go eat some meat and not think it's a dead animal.